What's going on, guys? Run it back with another replay. I forgot that this one kicks right off, so we're gonna slow it down a little bit. We'll keep it in slow-mo for a moment. Chaos Warrior is gonna be moving back to the number 1. It is me and Safari Jack playing against one another, by the way, getting a little ahead of myself, but Pit of the Ever-Chosen, very odd map. I'm using these Chaos Warriors to move back, secure the number 1, because the spawn zones are actually all over the map. Want to use something durable to hold on to this objective here. I've got a lot of Marauders here. One more Chaos Warrior mixed into the bunch with a Spawn and a Minotaur. Exalted Bloodthirster up in the sky is the Lord option. Crazy duelist type character. Pretty good health pool. Much better with its leadership buff that it got a couple patches ago. And got a little bit of extra melee defense as well, I think. Maybe. But really the tool that you're bringing this guy for is Deathbringer. Gets him up to 840 weapon strength, and he can just absolutely obliterate a Tomb King's Lord with that popped, because they have 15% weakness to fire as well. So if you land this guy on their head, 840 weapon strength with an extra 15%, that's getting up to 1,000 damage with each hit. And, I mean, that's 4 or 5 hits before you put Arkin into crumbling. So that's kind of the goal of bringing this guy, is to just get him after the characters and just obliterate them ASAP. I figured there might be a Necrotect, which my opponent did bring. Necrotects are very good tools. They've got those restores. Wrath of the Creator here with the extra melee attack and armor-piercing weapon strength. Going to do some good work buffing up these Sepulchral Stalkers. Any other Ushabti or I get a Hyro Titan would be a very rare construct to see, but Necropolis Knights, another thing that you might see on occasion going up against Tomb Kings, and he can buff all those guys up. So just a really nice tool to have, and really nice to have an answer to those types of foot-based characters. Exalted Bloodthirsters are pretty scary, man. So here in the early going, we're just kind of poking away at one another. My opponent's captured the number 3 with the Horse Archers. More Horse Archers over here, poking my Marauders. He's got a ton of Spearmen. Very solid choice. They've got that decent melee defense. They can do some pretty good work buffering for Sepulchral Stalkers and the like. Carrion with the chevrons coming in here. 9 unit ranks, 10 extra leadership, 10 extra melee attack, 11 extra melee defense. I didn't realize my opponent was buffing him up quite that much, but very interesting to see Carrion coming in here. Not often that you see these guys being used in this matchup. They usually don't do too well against Furies. We'll have to see how they do with the melee defense and melee attack buffs that they get from all these chevrons. Chasing back the Horse Archers, I can trade a little bit of the HP off of my Exalted Bloodthirster. Fizzres mitigating that a little bit, as well as the really good armor. Dodging back and forth, trying to avoid as much of the bowfire as possible while I just pull back. Wasting quite a few of the volleys on these guys. They start off with 18, and they're already down about a third of their ammunition here. Really haven't done too terribly much. Carrion gearing up for a dive onto the Marauders. Get a really nice rear charge. I'm busy microing back here, just pulling some stuff back, tucking my formation in a little bit cleaner, making sure that I've got my Spawn and Minotaurs in good positions to respond across the battlefield, and maneuvering my Minos to go after these Carrion who have landed on the ground. Good response from Safari Jack trying to get back up in the air, but I do have some Chaos Furies responding now. And Furies can do some pretty good work against Carrion normally. I didn't know until after the battle that they had the chevrons, so just bringing them out now. Threatening to go after the Scorpion Legion, but I do have the throwing axes. I was sending them over there just in case the Sepulchral Stalkers were here. I couldn't see them where they were until just now. The Bloodthirster has spotted both of them, so now I know that they're not over here and they don't need to be tied up by the Furies. So just going to go after these Carrion. Carrion take the head-on fight, and the superior weapon strength and charge bonus with decent enough melee attack really getting through on the Carrion, absolutely mulching through these guys. Actually, Carrion have just about the same weapon strength. Very funny little thing. I'm going to pause it just real quick. It's the stupidest complaint imaginable. But you see the weapon strength bar? You see how low it is for the Furies as opposed to the Carrion? Despite having one more weapon strength of Frenzy up. Just doesn't make any sense why it's so unbalanced. I don't know what that's about. It's the smallest little nitpick that has been bothering me forever. The fact that there are some types of units that have that weird little situation going on, but it's whatever. We'll get back to the battle, and I'll stop being neurotic for y'all. Getting after the Necrotect with the Deathbringer popped, absolutely ripping apart the Necrotect right now. Down to 1200 HP already. Big collision attack coming in there, mulching through the Carrion, taking them down to half health in one fell swoop. Beautiful work from the Exalted Bloodthirster. That is the perfect situation to use him in. Pop that Deathbringer once you land and just go to town on a character. And use his big mass to push through all the little stuff. 4,000 mass is pretty significant. He can get out of infantry pretty effectively. Does get slowed down a little bit by the poison, but not worrying too much about that. And I've got some halberds. Really nice having these reinforcement points on your opponent's home objective. Just maneuvering out some halberds to get in here to help out the marauders here. Some skeleton spears suffering pretty badly against the spawn of Khorne. And some marauders. As well as some dual weapons here, I believe. Yeah, dual weapons also mulching through the skeleton spears, doing some good work. And I'm just all over the sepulchral stalkers with these marauders. They have pushed through. My opponent chasing a little too much with the Nekesha Scorpion Legion, all the Carrion, leaving the Marauders to just get in for free on the Sepulchral Stalkers and lock them down and not let them get any shots off. Really nice for me. Halberds moving up here. I do have them attacking some Spearmen right now, which is not ideal, but I do spot my opportunity to push between all of these units here and maybe get on top of the Sepulchral Stalkers. Gonna be trying to do that now just to keep them from shooting again and get on the preferred target of these halberds. Halberds are now fighting Ushabti. There are some tattered Chaos Furies coming in now. They're trying to land here. They did kill another Carrion unit off on the side, which was going after the Horsemen. And the Horsemen did also finish off a Skeleton Horse Archer unit. Really nice for me, man. 544 value on those guys in the early going. Really nice stuff. Furies do dissipate out as they get countercharged by the Carrion, which is unfortunate for me. And I do have the Fleshhounds coming in here, trying to get on top of these Sepulchral Stalkers. Just keeping these guys from shooting is the really the goal here. They're going to trade pretty poorly into the Sepulchral Stalkers because of the magic attacks and the bonus versus large these guys have. But they do okay. They'll do some damage to them still. Just slowly working these guys down, and like I said, those lasers are vicious. You really can't let them shoot. They'd be mulching through my halberds right now, who are doing pretty nicely. Almost paid for themselves already. They're just getting in there. They're doing good work against the Ushabti, who have maneuvered away from them, but they're still mulching through the Eyes of the Desert, helping buffer for the Exalted Bloodthirster. He's popped Deathbringer again. This is on a 90-second cooldown. He's getting some good damage in there, 1,300 value on him. Keeping that value lead in the early going here. Really nice for me. Ushabti summon out here, tearing apart my poor dual weapon warriors, but it is occupying a very impactful summon unit. These guys are on the battlefield for quite a while. They could be doing a lot of good work to my infantry that are still here on the point, which I really, obviously don't want going on. And more Sepulchral Stalkers and more Fleshhounds fighting out here. Am going to be losing these Fleshhounds, but they are killing these Sepulchral Stalkers, putting them down to about 1,000 health. They are at the crumbling stage now, and no Necrotect heals. The Minotaurs did get in. They did get on top of the Necrotect, and with those big AP attacks, they managed to get a few shots in on that guy, and he was in a very beleaguered state after the fight against the Bloodthirster. So they managed to finish him off. They've done some good extra damage to the Eyes of the Desert. And while they have not paid for themselves, they've done pretty nicely, in all honesty. Just locking the Tomb King's down pretty well on this point, trading pretty evenly here too. A lot of my Marauders doing pretty well for themselves, but am getting pushed off now, unfortunately for me. Halberd's barely holding in here, but they've gotten 1,200 value. Just chipping through Shopti and Sepulchral Stalkers, Nikesh's Scorpion Legion, and the Eyes of the Desert alike. Doing real nice, but the terror routes and the well, I guess no terror routes. Nothing here has the terror. So just pure route action going in on my Khornate units now. Losing a lot of my infantry who were taking this number 2 objective here. I do have a pretty healthy Marauder to hold here, and they are locking it down, keeping it in a triple cap circumstance for me. In the midst of all of this, my Chaos Warriors of Khorne have ground down some spearmen out here with the Marauders. They've done pretty nicely for themselves, killing another skeleton spear. And the Spawn of Khorne chasing down the skeleton horse archers out here, doing killing an entire unit of them down here, actually going after this last one that's on the field. Man, these things are so nice. Just a fire and forget type unit. This is honestly kind of the combat that they want to be in. You might think, why am I chasing a ranged unit with them? Well, these guys were pretty much out of ammo when I sent them after them. They were kind of chilling out here in the middle of the battlefield after killing off the skeleton spear out here. I saw that the horse archers were almost out of ammo, and I just kind of said, screw it, I'll just send him out here. Keep him out of the fight on my opponent's home objective, and force him to kind of engage these guys, I guess. I was hoping to see him bring out exactly what he's bringing here, skeleton horsemen. And the Spawn are going to do pretty nicely up here against these guys. They can do some pretty good damage against this type of unit. They're not paying for themselves, but they're occupying a lot of attention here. Lots of units going after them right now. And, man, oh man, Carrion trying to just lock down the Bloodthirster. They're doing a little bit of damage to him. They're occupying his time, more importantly. And, yeah, just grinding through these guys with the Bloodthirster right now. He's doing some pretty good work against them. Doing his best, man. Doing his best. Another Spirit Leech going down on the Bloodthirster. Doing a little bit of damage to him for sure, but 35% spell resistance coming in nicely for me. Killing an Ushapti out here. The Ushapti from the home objective did try to maneuver onto my back objective, getting after the Chaos Warriors who were holding this point down. But intercepted them with the throwing axe horsemen, just blocking them up with mass. Hounds helping lock them in while the Minotaurs came in to finish them off. Really nice catch for me. And going after these horse archers who are poking my poor Exalted Bloodthirster. He's just trying to get away now. I'm tired of him fighting all these carrion. I'm trying to get him over to land where the Chaos Warriors are so they can assist him. I'm going to land him here in just a moment. And that's going to be pretty nice for me. And Karanak out on the field now. He's trying to get after Arkin and almost catching him here. Do lock him into combat just a little bit. I don't have Prey of the Blood Hunt here. Honestly, really should have brought it, truthfully. Would have been really nice to have against this guy. But, tried to lock him in with the Flesh Hounds. That was the idea. Lock him in with Flesh Hounds. Bring Karanak to just finish him off. But can't quite manage it. But the Skeleton Horse Archers are a nice consolation prize. They do come in to buffer so Arkin can escape, and they do get absolutely shredded here, man. Flesh Hound's great for getting after units like that. Poor Eyes of the Desert. They do get forgotten about a little bit as my opponent is frantically trying to micro Arkin away, just running for his damn life, trying to escape. Fate of Buna going down on the Flesh Hounds. Flesh Hounds have 50% spell resist, though, so really nice for them to be able to mitigate a lot of the effect of that very devastating spell otherwise. Really good situation for me. You just love to see damage spells used against you as Khorne, honestly, especially after the patch where they got the big buffs to the spell resistance. It's just not as devastating. You really would prefer to use more passive spells against Khorne, ones that affect your own units, because there's no mitigation for that for Khorne. Then you're relying on, like, actual silence type effects to get some mitigation for spell casting. So, Just something to keep in mind if you're trying to use offensive spell type magic against units like that. Big volley going in from the Eyes of the Desert, getting a little bit of value there, but getting locked down by the Flesh Hounds, getting some halberds on top of them. They are not long for this world, and another wave of bony infantry coming in here, trying to grind through these Chaos Warriors, and these guys are just absolutely raid bossing it right now. They've killed a spear unit. They're killing a Nehekara warrior here really nicely. I've got some throwing axes assisting. They've killed a carrion back here, doing a good job of charging those guys down. Those are small targets. These guys do have a bonus versus infantry and crazy weapon strength and decent melee attack. Pretty nice for me. Killing a skeleton horseman with the assistance of the Flesh Hounds, and the Flesh Hounds buffering out this second horseman that was trying to get on top of my throwing axes. Safari Jack really committing to the bit of trying to shut down the throwing axes, and I'm just taking full advantage of his aggression there. Just pulling these guys back, buffering really well with the Flesh Hounds, and countercharging where applicable with the horsemen. And gonna be maneuvering around now, trying to get in a good position just to throw those axes in there, man. You can see killing quite a few models on those horsemen. Not the best target for them, but don't really have anything else to do with them, so just taking full advantage there with what I can get my hands on. Trying to get Karanak in here on top of Arkin, but he does get stuck on some horsemen. Very unfortunate for me, but not the worst thing in the world. Forcing Micro out of Arkin, and my opponent not getting the opportunity to play nearly as cleanly as he would like. Summoning a big reinforcement wave here, some Marauders, being supported by some Chaos Spawn. I did see some Ushapti get summoned out here before they got hidden up by the trees. They can hide in forests, which is really funny. You know, I guess they just stand there and they blend in, right? They're the same color, I guess. They got that tactical camo going in the forests. So the spawn were there just to keep the Marauders from getting flattened by the Ushapti. I have the money. I needed to bring some heavy hitters in, as well as some infantry holding power. As you can see, I really don't have a lot of infantry left here. Just want to lock this down. My opponent is kind of capping it away, and I don't have any pressure going on to the number 2 there. Number 1 is pretty well secured with the Chaos Warriors of Khorne, who have helped the Exalted Bloodthirster grind through those carrion that were harassing him. Very freed up now, 1,700 value on him, 3,000 HP left, lots of room to go on him. I'm going to do some pretty good work there, and Karanak getting a little damage on the horseman, but really not getting a lot of value out of him, unfortunately. I'd really love to get some effect from him, but my opponent just fully committing to locking him out, doing a really good job of it. But unfortunately for him, not able to get the Ushapti out of this situation. The Minotaurs, they've been out here maneuvering from the number 1 objective this whole time. Finally get over here just in time to fight some Ushapti. Absolutely perfect combat for them. Those anti-large AP attacks coming in, ripping apart these gigantic, you know, metallics or ceramic. I'm not sure what the Ushapti are made out of, but regardless, these gigantic axes doing the kind of damage that you need to do against whatever substance these guys are made out of. Getting a little help from the Chaos Spawn as well. Shredding those Ushapti and putting myself in a really nice position. Man, these Chaos Warriors from wire to wire, man, fighting in here, holding the line. I get the Marauders onto the number 3. Fully lock it out. My opponent never captures it. Very unfortunate for him. Horsemen continuing to chew through the carrion, and the carrion just not carrying their weight, man. They have not been able to do the kind of damage that they need to do. They've been tying up some targets for sure, but it's been a big commitment to the air core from Safari Jack, leaving him pretty thin on the ground, where I've really been taking full advantage. I've only brought a couple of Furies out this game, and those Furies have done the work they need to do, locking down units, giving time for heavy hitters to get in and get damage on target, as well as killing a couple of his own carrion. Just really nice stuff from my own aerial units, while his kind of overcommitting to them. really not paying off. Very unfortunate. I didn't realize they had the chevrons, the full rank 9 chevrons on them until the end of the match, and I was kind of surprised to see them perform that poorly with them. Would have figured they'd do a little better. They had crazy stats when they've got that, so I'm not 100% sure what was going on there, but really nice stuff, man. Khorne coming in here, giving the old Bone Daddies a left hook, putting him on the mat, not letting him get back up, and just taking the battlefield over. You know, I kind of played a split pushing style of game there, going very aggressive on his home objective, while he kind of made the mistake of trickling some skeleton spears in against my Khorne warriors and marauders that were holding the contested number 3. I just was keeping an eye on that. Didn't really need to summon anything over there for the longest time. Recommitted over there when my opponent was deciding to try and go after it. And instead, just kind of playing into what I'm sure he thought was a favorable position, but I did, you know, this map with those spawn points being in your opponent's backfield, basically, and they're not really being a home objective for anybody like you typically might think there are, kind of playing into my favor for sure. Safari Jack trading evenly with me on that back objective while I just slowly ground out an advantage with the 2 cap that I have, which I was very happy to hold while working on killing the Sepulchral Stalkers, not doing him any favors, and really putting him on the back foot in the early going. But you know, a lot of that, thankfully, came down to the Exalted Bloodthirster killing that Necrotect and mitigating any of the heals on those Sepulchral Stalkers. They, you know, those restores give, how much? I believe it's a 12% heal, so that's pretty significant. It can certainly put Sepulchral Stalkers into a situation where they're just surviving through, and you kind of gas yourself going after them, and then they just turn around and they just start firing those lasers in and obliterate you. But my opponent really only got a couple volleys off with these guys, and that's really how you want to play against those Eyes of the Desert and the regular variants of the Sepulchral Stalkers. Get after them with Furies, get after them with Minos, lock them down with like Marauders and stuff, just drag them through the mud and don't let them shoot. Just that's where the biggest value that they get is from. You don't want to give them any opportunities to get good trades, really. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for this one, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed. I hope you enjoy seeing a Khorne Halberd with some significant value. 1,500 value on this Halberd. It's really nice mixing one of these guys into your builds. They just do so much good work against targets if you can get them into the kind of combats they want to be in. And they did get a really good engage in this particular match. So, worth checking them out. Just don't use them as your front line. They struggle pretty badly. They don't hold objectives well, funnily enough. They're much better being aggressive and being supported by mobility. If you want to hold a back objective, do what I did with the Chaos Warriors. These guys have silver shields. You have to really commit to bringing like AP missiles, getting behind them, using like Ushabti, or just, you know, like dedicated anti-infantry counters to go after these guys. Instead of just, if I had put like the Halberd back there on that back objective, my opponent could have just sat the Horse Archers back there and just shot at them the entire game, and it would have worked them down. These guys have good armor, but you know, these Horse Archers do have AP. All missiles have AP at the end of the day, so they can chip these guys down pretty nicely. So the silver shields, I think, are just better for holding those objectives in an isolated position, and you can kind of trick your opponent into like trickling units in against these guys. These Khorne Warriors are so good. Such a stalwart unit. Very difficult to contend with at times for a lot of factions. So yeah. Anyways, that's it for me, guys. Logging off, tuning out. Hope y'all enjoyed. GG's, peace, and I'll see y'all next time. Later.